ततो जयोदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमाश्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 29, verse number 7. Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji, you want to read?
Yes, Mataji. Shall I read?
Yeah.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Burhadbalam Mano Vidyet Upayendriya Nayakam Panchalaha Pancha Vishaya Yanmadhye Navakam Puram.
Thank you. Rahat Balam, very powerful. Manaha, the mind. Vidyat, one should know. Ubhaya Indriya, of both groups of senses. Nayakam, the leader. Panchalaha, the kingdom named Panchal. Pancha, 5. Vishayaha, sense objects. Yat, of which Madhye, in the midst. Navakam, having 9 apertures. Puram, the city. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The 11th attendant, who is the commander of the others, is known as the mind. He is the leader of the senses, both in the acquisition of knowledge and in the performance of work. The Panchal kingdom is that atmosphere in which the 5 sense objects are enjoyed. Within that Panchal kingdom is the city of the body, which has 9 gates. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The mind is the center of all activities and is described here as Brihad Bala, very powerful. To get out of the clutches of Maya, material existence, one has to control his mind. According to training, the mind is the friend and the mind is according to training, the mind is the friend and the enemy of the living entity. If one gets a good manager, his estate is very nicely managed. But if the manager is a thief, his estate is spoiled. Similarly, in his material conditional existence, the living entity gives power of attorney to his mind. As such, he is liable to be misdirected by his mind into enjoying sense objects. Srila Ambarish Maharaj therefore first engaged his mind upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Save manaha Krishna padarvindayoho. When the mind is engaged in meditation on the lotus feet of the Lord, the senses are controlled. This system of control is called yam, and this means subduing the senses. One who can subdue the senses is called a Goswami, but one who cannot control the mind is called Godas. The mind directs the activities of the senses, which are expressed through different outlets, as described in the next verse. Magyan Timirandasya Kyananjanjalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanuste Devi Pranamami Adipriye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Visadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Vicharine Nirvisheshishnavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. The 11th attendant, who is the commander of the others, is known as the mind. He is the leader of the senses, both in the acquisition of knowledge and in the performance of work. The Panchal kingdom is that atmosphere in which 5 sense objects are enjoyed. Within that Panchal kingdom is the city of the body, which has 9 gates. Okay, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, which is Creation of the 4th Order, Chapter 29, which is entitled Talks Between
Narad Muni and Prachina
Barhi. Thank you. So far, we have studied that Prachina Barhi asked Narad Muni to explain the meaning of the allegorical examples that he used, and Narad Muni has so far explained. What has he explained so far? What has he explained? What has Narad Muni explained so far in his allegorical examples? Yeah. Puranjana, which is a conditioned living entity, Agyanat, which is a Supreme Personality of Godhead who is not known to the conditioned living entity, because the conditioned living entity thinks Krishna is Nirakar, but Krishna is Nirakar and Krishna is the Dhokshaja. Then what else he explains? That how the Puranjana or the conditioned living entity is transmigrating from one body to another. What kind of body does it choose is based on the desire to enjoy the material world. And then yesterday, what did we study? What did we study yesterday? Am I audible? Because I'm at
Yes.
Gita Nagari, the website, the internet can be.
Yes, Mataji.
Yesterday we studied about the 10 senses, 5 working senses and 5.
Yes.
Mataji.
So we studied the Puranjana has the boyfriends and the girlfriends, right? The girlfriends are the objects of senses, and the boyfriend are 9 working senses and nine knowledge acquiring senses. What else? What else was there in that verse? You can open the verse if you want.
Because of our desire to enjoy the material world, we are giving different types of bodies.
In which the living entity circulates. If you don't understand what's going on in the past, how will you understand what's going to happen in the future? I don't understand that. If we don't understand, then how do we understand? Then we studied 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. The 11th attendant is the commander of the others, which is known as the mind. So mind is described with an adjective, Brihad Bala, very powerful. Bala means powerful. Brihad means, I think Brihad means very powerful. So it's powerful, means there is a power, a particular kind of power endowed within this subtle body, especially the mind. And what is that power? What happens if we make that powerful commander our friend? Then everything else follows. Then life is not like one Mataji, Chitti Shakti Mataji took class today. She said conflicting decisions. We're always having competitions or conflicts within us, what decision to make, what not to make. Should I meet my human needs, or should I meet my spiritual needs, or should I compromise meeting my human needs so that I can meet my spiritual needs, so I can nurture my spiritual needs? Always conflicting. Yeah, yes or no? Always, every moment there is a conflict. What to do, what not to do. So why or where is this conflict coming from? Because of the uncontrolled mind. And when we say uncontrolled, means that is untrained. When we say it is untrained, means it has a power, but the power is not used in a particular fashion, which is very conducive in journey back to Krishna. What makes it not being trained? Because we are so used to, we have like this make it comfortable for us to enjoy the material world. So enjoying in the material world sounds to be, or looks to be, or smells to be a very natural position of a living entity. But the austerity, if somebody takes up the austerity to come out of that comfort zone, is a whole deal. Taking up austerity in Krishna consciousness has many steps, I am sure. But the whole deal of taking austerity in the practice of Krishna consciousness is to be able to come out of that comfort, that illusory comfort zone that we have made around our mind, which tells us that the material world is a comfortable place. This is how I should be thinking. This is how I should be leading my life. And this is how I should be dying. But everything is in the comfort zone of that. And that comfort zone, the minute one becomes comfortable in their growth in Krishna consciousness, that minute one must understand that the mind has become an enemy. This is a big debate. No, mind is an enemy or mind is a friend. The minute one becomes comfortable. Yes, we have to be comfortable in certain aspect of preaching or practicing our own sadhana. Yes, I'm not saying that we have to be uncomfortable and sit in the middle of the fire and then chant our rounds. The minute, what I mean to say is that the minute we feel that, okay, I have done enough, the level of my practice that I can come to, and I have achieved enough. So that enough is not enough. We don't have the definition of enough in spiritual life. We need to keep going, keep going. Actually, very advanced devotees, very advanced devotees are unstoppable. We look at the life of Sharavat, we look at the life of the six Goswamis, so unstoppable. They had no consideration of taking care of one's material existence at all. Right? What is that? What is that word? Kopin pan. What is that word? Kopin pantha. Means that they're wearing a loincloth and they have this water container. And they're living under one tree one night, another tree another night. But they're unstoppable in their service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the level, that is a level of discomfort that a trained mind makes one take. Unless and until I reach that, I am living with the enemy. There's no question about it. But the benefit is, if the mind is trained, then the whole thing is managed very well. And then my whole existence is spiritualized. Right? Shakti Mataji was saying that when we go to problem solve, we must always refer to the Shastras, the Guru Sadhu Shastra principle. I'll tell you what she was saying. Everyone knows the pastime of Ashwathama, right? In 7th chapter of 1st Canto Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it is 7th chapter, the son of Dronacharya punished, where Ashwathama goes in the middle of the night and kills 5 sons of Draupadi in sleep. Okay, this is obviously a heinous act. Obviously. Krishna is angry, Arjun is angry, Draupadi is distraughted, everyone is angry. And Krishna tells Arjun, kill him. You can kill him. This is not going to be a sin. Ashwathama deserves to be killed. But Draupadi, analyzes the whole situation and thinks of the mother of Ashwathama, who has not gone to die with Dronacharya because she has a surviving son. Like, she has a surviving son, so she has not gone to die with her husband in the funeral pyre. So she says, yes, he has undoubtedly done a very heinous act. And Arjun is telling Draupadi that don't worry, I am going to kill him. And then you can dance on his dead body. That's what he tells to Draupadi. But Draupadi is obviously heartbroken. 5 children, all of them dead at the same time in their sleep after the war is over, that too. So, but she thinks of the mother, and then she gives logical reasons after logical reason after logical reasons that we must just let Ashwathama go. She gives examples of Varna, Ashrama, spiritual reasons, compassion for the mother of Ashwathama. Krishna gets convinced. Krishna says, okay. But then Krishna also says, Arjun, that you promised that you're going to kill him. Now, Arjun has to let him go, but also has to fulfill his promise of killing him. So that's the point where it's a conflicting decision, whether you're going to let him go or are you going to kill him. So what she explained was that Krishna gives the intelligence to a surrendered soul how to function in this material world, gives the intelligence. Person who is not taking to Krishna consciousness is left on its own to make decisions. And that's never going to be a safe zone or never going to be a very cordial environment, because then we are going to make decisions based on our conditioning of the mind. And that's not a very good reference of point to go and take advice from, is what we learn from the Shastras. So because Krishna gives intelligence to Arjun, Arjun is able to kill Ashwathama, but at the same time not kill, right? He cuts his hair off, which is a great disrespect to a Kshatriya, but he also spares his life. So Krishna gives him the intelligence. So same way, if we are faced with the conflicting decisions, should I meet my human needs Or should I sacrifice meeting my human needs to nurture my spiritual life? Right? There's so many things which each one of us have to go through. And we all come with a baggage. It's not, Prabhupada was a pure devotee even before he started ISKCON. But everyone else that's followed or following is not a pure devotee. We are coming with our impressions of our life in this life and also from past many lives. When we come with that baggage. And then we try to, analyze and rationalize the use or rationalize the illicit activities or breaking the regulatory principles that one may be using. Oh, it's too difficult. Well, yeah, of course it's difficult because the mind that we have is uncontrolled. So it is difficult. But it is not difficult if Krishna gives the intelligence how to do it. But we don't take his advice. Or chanting only Hare Krishna Mahamantra without distraction is difficult. Of course, it's difficult if we are taking advice about the simplicity of chanting Hare Krishna mantra only from the mind. But it is not difficult if the super soul gives the advice. So that way, we can apply this. So when the mind is engaged in meditation, the lotus to the Lord, the senses are controlled. This system of control is called yama. And this means subduing the senses. So subduing the senses doesn't mean repressing the senses. Subduing the senses does not also mean that nullifying that we have senses. We cannot become Krishna conscious if we don't become conscious first. We have to become conscious to become Krishna conscious, is what we say, if somebody really authentically wants to become Krishna conscious. So subduing the senses, as we understand from the Shastras, is, okay, there are senses. They are going to have their own agenda. And they are going to distract at times here and there. But now it's up to me whether I want to fall prey in front of those demands, or I have to have a higher purpose, which is we call Paramdrishtva Nivartate. Okay, so then that higher purpose should be given to us. We cannot manufacture a higher purpose. It should be given to us. And that's given to us by the Sampradaya. That's given to us by our Acharyas. That is why when one takes initiation and gets officially plugged into the Sampradaya, there is this sense of protection. That, okay, I am not alone now. It says I have the protection of this whole Sampradaya, and I will never be lost. You get this once you take initiation, and you cannot give it to anyone if somebody hasn't taken initiation, but somebody has taken, you can ask them. Each one of the devotees sitting in this class, whoever has taken initiation or officiated their relationship with Krishna, then they feel this. Provided, depending on Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Prabhupada explains in Madhurya Kadambini, depending on what is the situation of the consciousness at the time of the ceremony. Okay, is somebody taking the ceremony as like an official ceremony, then it's not so powerful. But if one is fully present during that time, then the acharyas do give a lot of blessing because we are following their order. They want us to do it and we do it. So we're following the order. And when we follow the order, we get the empowerment to follow more order. When we follow more order, we get more empowerment and more order. So that's how we go on in our Krishna conscious journey. If somebody is not doing it, then the whole life goes on in these conflicting decisions. And then even after taking a decision, one may not be sure whether I really took the right decision or not. Okay, so understand that the mind is very powerful, not just powerful. And understand that unless and until one is fully surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it always remains an enemy. And if my body or the activity of my body is controlled by an enemy, I am not in a very good state of existence physically, forget about spiritually. So, but I can change it. Can I change it? I can 100% change it. Everything can be transformed. How? By Pancharartiki vidhi bina. Na utpaya yena kalpate. Prabhupada explains, Puranadi, Srishti Smriti Puranadi, Pancharartiki Vidhi Vina, Na Utpaya Eva Kalpate. So Prabhupada explains Utpad. Utpad means havoc. Unless and until one is following the Pancharartiki Vidhi. So Pancharartiki Vidhi Vina, not following the Pancharartiki Vidhi, then the whatever process of worship one is following is only going to create havoc. This is what Prabhupada explains in Narayan Pancharatra. To follow, I gave the example of taking initiation. It takes courage. Somebody who has taken this step, I'm not saying that who has not taken the step cannot chant Hare Krishna. I'm not saying Hare Krishna chanting is completely independent. But we can always enhance our chanting. So one who, for example, if somebody has taken initiation, that person has answered a lot of questions. That person has walked a lot of steps. That person is way ahead. Okay, and that person has actually followed the order of the Sampradaya, and the Sampradaya has endowed the benediction. It's there for everybody. You know, the sun is available for everybody, but somebody opens their window and somebody doesn't open their window. It's not the fault of the sun, it's the fault of me if I'm not opening my window for the sunlight to come, or the mercy. In other words, I'm comparing sunlight to the mercy of the Sampradaya to come and empower me in my life. Otherwise, the whole life goes, should I do this or should I do that? Should I not do anything? Okay, any questions, reflections, realizations, corrections?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I'm just having a doubt. Like, it is our past karmas, right? They select us, means they make us what we are today in this life. This is what we have studied. Then, it is only the grace of Sampradaya or the grace of the Guru which can help us to overcome that, right? Otherwise we are into the cycle of karmas. And I think Ashwathama, so when Ashwathama was there, so was he getting an instinct from the inner self? Is what his karma were there in the previous life, because of which what he did, that heinous thing, or it is the Krishna who is already having that thing in his mind that he is going to do that.
So I have a question to your question. How does it matter? Let's say Ashwathama, well, we all have a choice. You know, we all have a choice whether I want to follow Krishna or I don't want to follow Krishna. So he's coming from a Brahminical lineage. He's a son of Dronacharya. He's not an ordinary person. And who's trained by Dronacharya as well. So he's expected to know all the codes of conduct of fight, but he has transgressed everything. He's transgressed everything. So far, he did not transgress. He transgressed after the war of Mahabharata. So one way of saying is that, yes, he made a choice because he wanted to impress Duryodhan by saying that he killed 5 Pandavas. But or even if we take that, okay, this was his karma, then also, how does it matter? How does it really matter of what the result was afterwards? Maybe I need to understand your question better. Can you explain that? How does it matter if we go in this analysis?
No, it is just in this verse we have studied now that mind is the biggest controller, and mind is actually, we know that mind is controlled by the God himself. Whatever is happening in this world, that is actually controlled and executed by the God, by Krishna. So means, so how can we say that only Arjun got the instinct from Lord? Matlab, this is what. So Ashwathama was also getting, na, whether we are following Krishna.
We have free will. We have a choice. Krishna is not going to shove his presence under our throat. You know, he gives a choice. He gives choice to Arjun also. After explaining him all the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Yathechasi tatha kuru. Whatever you want to do, you do. He gives options. He answers because Arjun consults Krishna. Krishna does not give any advice to Arjun unless and until Arjun asks for an advice, right? So when Krishna gives him advice, at the end of the day, he says, whatever you want to do, you do. Now, can you tell me what do you want to do? He's not forcing his presence on anybody. He is just facilitating the choices that we are making. Now, we have to become intelligent to make a proper choice. Okay, and because we are responsible in human form of life, we are 100% responsible for the outcome of the decisions that we make in our life right now. We cannot blame God at all, actually. Cannot blame God that whatever happened in my life, is because God is impartial. Krishna says, I'm not partial. 9th chapter, he says, right? I'm not partial to anybody. He has declared it. So how come somebody says God is partial? No, God is not partial. I made a choice to conduct this sinful activity. Krishna facilitated the fulfillment of that choice. Now I have to suffer the consequences. How come Krishna facilitated if he loves me? Yes, because he loves me. That's why he facilitated. It's not that, okay, it's not a blind love. He gives instructions. He gives consciousness. He comes with us as super soul. But we should never see, that's the problem in a conditioned soul. The conditioned soul sees the problem in God, but not in us. We discussed it. So when we were discussing Agyanat, and the Narad Muni was saying that is invisible. Krishna is invisible. And then Narad Muni said the definition of a conditioned soul. There we discussed that a conditioned soul tries to find problem in God, but not in itself. But a liberated soul only finds a problem in itself. There is no problem other than themselves. There is a very nice conversation of a Brahman. What is the name of the Brahman? 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Avigya. What is the name of the Brahman? Somebody read 11th canto Bhagavatam. Go and refer and read this conversation of this particular Avanti Brahman. The name is Avanti. Let's see which chapter it is. So the Avanti Brahman is actually analyzing, it's in the beginning only, that who is actually my biggest enemy? Is my biggest enemy the person who did ill activities against me? Is the biggest enemy the countrymen whom I was living? Is my biggest enemy my family? Is my biggest enemy my situation in the material world because I was born in such and such situation? Who is like that? He's analyzing who is my biggest enemy, and he comes to the conclusion that my mind is my biggest enemy. Nobody else is my biggest enemy because my mind has put me in a situation where I am. I think it's Avanti Brahman conversation. I want to say, anyone know which chapter it is? Story of Pingala.
Yes,
Avadhuta.
Mataji,
No, it's not Avadhuta, it's Avanti Brahman. I'm 100% sure. We'll look at it. Mataji, did you get your answer?
Yes, Mataji. But only thing which goes inside my mind is, actually, sorry to take it longer, but it happens कि जो भी होता है हमारी life में, that is done by God. If I am attracted towards Krishna consciousness, I feel not proud, but I feel that it is because of the grace of God which I have got, right? But why the other people are not getting attracted? That answer is very clear to me, because the choice is given. Like here we were reading that Krishna is giving the grace to Arjuna. Otherwise, if everyone become Krishna consciousness, if Ashwatthama was also a Krishna conscious person, so there would have been no lessons for the humanity, right? Somewhere.
No, there's no need to take it like that. The lesson is being closer to Krishna doesn't mean that we know Krishna. Both Arjuna and Ashwatthama were close to Krishna, like in proximity. Like they could see Krishna face to face, but being closer to Krishna doesn't mean that we know Krishna. To know Krishna, one has to surrender to Krishna or Krishna's pure devotee. There's difference between standing close to someone and knowing them. That's the lesson. Otherwise, no, there'll always be lessons. Krishna sends, he's always doing something. There's a big plan. Prabhupada explains every Krishna Lila is going on in different parts of the universe all the time. Krishna is sending so many incarnations. Krishna is sending so many acharyas, so much literature. He comes So we cannot say otherwise. Is that what I understand or what I've heard? Whatever is there is that what is my lesson in it? My lesson in it is being close to Krishna doesn't mean that I understand Krishna. To understand Krishna, I need to approach as parampara, a guru. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Dr. Prem Prakash Haridas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam Mataji.
Chapter 23.
The question commonly asked to us who recently got initiated a month ago is, what is the difference that you feel? And that's a common question asked by all our colleagues and juniors or seniors, because they say that we are waiting for your experience after initiation, whether we should get initiated or not. Initial answers all were fumbling, that I was trying to explain to them that I feel more responsible, I feel more connected, I feel more to the Krishna, and I feel more and more responsible as the days pass. Previously, if one round is not done, that's okay. Now it appears as if I don't do one round, I don't finish 16 rounds, then probably my things would go to Jayapataka Swami himself, and he would suffer more. So then I realized the answer lies in somewhere to a very similar situation or analogy, that we were doing internship and we were working under some doctor all the time, under the instruction of a doctor. The moment we finished the internship, we became a doctor. And then suddenly we realized that we all of a sudden have got a lot of power. We can kill a person and still nobody will really take a note of it. And they'll say, no, the doctor has done it. So that's the difference, I think, before internship and after internship. There is so much of a great difference that happens to you. And that's the realization that I got. That you suddenly become all powerful, all strong, and you can do anything you like, but you will be pardoned for it. So, and yeah, as it is always said, that all the benefits carry the responsibilities. That's the difference I felt as an anthology mother.
Do you feel more responsible and accountable?
Much more responsible, much more connected, and much more
accountable.
Accountable. Yes, that's the word. Yes.
Of your actions. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
I just wanted to Mataji, if I can, there is a difference between the desire and the destiny. Destiny is produced by our karmas, present or past, and that's the destiny. What Mataji was explaining, and desire or an will to choose. You see, at the end of Krishna saying the entire Gita for 45 minutes, he doesn't then tell, so now Arjun, go and fight. No, he says, yes, Arjun, I told you everything. Now what would you like to do? So as you always very rightly say, that Krishna takes away everything except the desire. He never takes the desire. It is that desire that leads to all the complications and problems. If we make a right desire and right decision, we go onto the right path. If we make a wrong decision, we go to the wrong path. It has nothing to do with the destiny. I was just trying to explain further to Mataji's.
Yeah. Man is an architect of its own destiny, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions, reflections, or can we quickly 2 minutes do this? Anybody else? Oh, thank you, Mataji. When Mataji wrote its 11th canto, chapter 23, the Song of Avanti Brahman. It's a very long chapter, but it's very indulging, very nice to read and see that, you can literally like see your own life and see that, okay, I was thinking that these were my enemies, but actually none of them is my enemy. My own mind is my enemy. So then After realizing it, one starts an internal journey. So far, the journey was exploring outside of us, then starts the internal. Okay, let's read this. I'll just read the translation for the benefit of time. 10th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th chapter, verse 13 to 14. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no exterior and no interior, no front and no rear. In other words, he is all-pervading. Because he is not under the influence of the element of time, for him there is no difference between past, present, and future. He exists in his own transcendental form at all times. Being absolute beyond relativity, he is freed from distinctions between cause and effect. Although he is the cause and effect of everything, that unmanifested person who is beyond the perception of the senses had now appeared as a human child, and Mother Yashoda, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with a rope. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 10 chapter verse 12, Krishna is described as Supreme Brahman, Param Brahma, Param Dhama. The word Brahma means the greatest. Krishna is greater than the greatest, being unlimited and all-pervading. How can it be possible for the all-pervading to be measured or bound? Then again, Krishna is the time factor. Therefore, he is all-pervading not only in space but also in time. We have measurements of time, but although we are limited by past, present, and future, so for Krishna, these do not exist. Every individual person can be measured, but Krishna has already shown that although he also is an individual, the entire cosmic manifestation is within his mouth. All these points considered, Krishna cannot be measured. How then did Yashoda want to measure him and bind him? We must conclude that this took place simply on the platform of pure transcendental love. This was the only cause. Advaitamachuttamanadimananta rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavanam cha Vedeshu Durlabhamadurlabhamatma Bhaktau Govindamadi Purusham Damaham Bhajami. From Samhita, 5th chapter, verse 33. Everything is one because Krishna is the supreme cause of everything. Krishna cannot be measured or calculated by Vedic knowledge. Vedeshu Durlabham. He is available only to devotees. Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau. Devotees can handle him because they act on the basis of loving service. Bhaktya Mam Avijanati Yavan Yash Chashmi Tatvataha. Thus, Mother Yashoda wanted to bind him. So, we have studied that how Mother Yashoda was trying to run behind him because of the havoc that he had made. And how Krishna, after being caught, when being questioned by his mother, tells lie. He tells lies after lies after lies. Mother Yashoda knows that he's telling lie, but she finds the words emanating from his mouth so nectarian like a honey. She wants to keep hearing it. But at the end, she does say that you are biggest of the biggest liars. Krishna is, we worship the God who lies. Imagine. So there's a difference between morality and spirituality. So Krishna is described as with all these qualities: no beginning, no end, no exterior, no interior, no front, no rear, all pervading, not under the influence of time. So he exists in his transcendental form at all times, being absolute, no relativity, no difference between cause and effect. He is actually the cause of everything. He's the Dhokshaja, beyond the perception of senses, but he has appeared in human form, and not only that, he cannot be measured because he's immeasurable, but he's bound by Mother Yashoda. So the time is like, okay, we remember our monkey friends and our birds who are sitting on the trees near the gate of the palace. And some other gopis, elderly gopis, have come also, being attracted to the voices between the mother and the son inside the palace of Mother Yashoda. And they're dressed very nicely. They're all dressed for the Deepavali festival. So basically today, Damodar Leela happened on the day of Deepavali. And then everyone is, but Mother Yashoda, in the beginning, if you remember, she was wearing this yellow saffron sari. She had her hair tied in a very nice fashion. She was looking like a queen. She is the queen of Vrindavan. So because she's the wife of Nand Maharaj, and she's wearing this jewelry, and she has very nice multi flowers in her hair. So she looks fresh, she looks pretty, she looks well neat and clean. But now she's exhausted because of running behind the object of her love, and her jewelry, her hair have the hair have partially opened. The multi flowers have fallen down to touch her lotus feet, and the jewelry also looks little disheveled. So is her sari. So and everyone else is like very nicely dressed up. Now there are conversations going on between the birds and between the monkeys amongst themselves. What is she going to do next? Everyone is very curious that what is she going to do next. And the gopis, even though they are actually telling Mother Yashoda to go ahead and bind or punish Krishna, chastise Krishna, because he does steal all these milk produces from our homes also. But they're also skeptical because Krishna has shown his supernatural powers in the past. He has killed Purtana, he has killed Navrata, so he has killed the cart demon. So he's killed all these very powerful personalities. So they're skeptical, the other gopis. And the monkeys and the birds are also like looking at with their eyes wide open. And the demigods are discussing amongst themselves too that what is she going to do? So what she does is that she tells Krishna that I am actually going to bind you. So Krishna thinks within himself, is she really going to bind me? And the answer that he gets within himself, yes, she is going to bind. So then Mother Yashoda is like explained, skeptical. She's analyzing that way should she bind Krishna. She obviously doesn't want to bind his wrists or his arms because it will hurt him. So he looks at Krishna's body. You know how a mother looks at the baby? She looks at Krishna's body and then she decides, because he was not doing the activity of Dhamma. Dhamma means control. So now I have to bind his Dhamma or his tummy. Dhamma means rope. So now I'm going to take a rope and bind him in his belly. And she says, okay, I'm going to use a very soft rope so he doesn't get hurt, but it will also keep him nicely tied to this motor. Now there's an explanation of that motor, that the motor on which she decides to bind Krishna is upside down, as if it's upset. And Mother Yashoda thinks that this motor is always turned up because it's a public motor. If people who are traveling and they want to grind some spices or something, they can use it. But then she gets very surprised to see that it's upside down and thinks that, this boy must have done this as well. Then she looks for a rope. She says, okay, he's a small boy. So what she does is that she has a silken thread in her hair, one end of the hair. She pulls the thread out and then she tries to bind him. And the thread is a little bit small. So she has another silken thread in her hair at the top. So she takes that one out too. And she connects the knot and she tests the knot very tight. Then she tries to bind him. Doesn't help. It's always short by 2-finger length. Then she tells the 2 gopis nearby, go and get soft ropes made of jute from inside. And the gopis go inside following the order of the queen. And because they are cowherd girls, they can only think of ropes in the which are used for tying the cows or which are used for churning the butter. So because they're cowherd girls, they can only think like that. So they go to the barn and look for the jute rope, very soft rope, which is used for tying the cows. So they gather some rope, but one of them tells the other one, maybe we should take more. You never know how much we're going to need. Then they both decide themselves, yeah, we should take more. So they take as much rope as they want. And then we'll see what happens when Mother Yashoda ties or does not tie. So it's a very, very nice pastime. That how Krishna is himself surprised that how is he getting tied up, and nobody can actually tie him up. Any questions, reflections, realizations, corrections?